Good evening. This is Dale M. Gardner-Webb. I had a request to cover the Scip, the Stakeholder Community Involvement Plan, much as I did the OMA last week. What I'll do is I'll record this, obviously, and I'll send out the link. Let's see. This is for Jewel Barnwell, but I'll send you this link, and then if I'll ask this week in class and on Thursday, and if anybody else wants it, I'll send it, but I'll just send it to you right now. All right, let's start on the Scip. The Scip is the Stakeholder Community Involvement Plan. The idea here is to get parents involved in your school in an attempt to help them help their children do better in school. The back balance on all of the 6 of the evidence artifacts, of course, is improve student achievement. That's why we do all these things. And so we start out in component A with doing a needs assessment. Now, it's not just a general needs assessment. This needs assessment is about finding gaps in communication between the school and parents. And then once you have identified those gaps, you're to use modern day communication techniques in terms of short-term goals. Your short-term goals are things like Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, ConnectEd. That should be your short-term goals. Find out where your gaps are with your parents in terms of the communication with the school, and try to use social media and other modern techniques to connect with those parents, to hook those parents. What you can see in the picture, to hook those parents. You're trying to get them hooked or involved in your school. Now, the second part of component A is your long-term goals. Long-term goals are, once you have them hooked with your short-term goals, like using Twitter or Facebook, WhatsApp, ConnectEd, or whatever, we'd like to put on events to get parents to come to that aren't just like ball games or recitals or talent shows or things like that, but things that let us help you help your child kind of things. And so that would be things like family math night, family reading night, family EOG night, job fairs where you work with freshmen to find out what advanced courses they need to take in order to matriculate at the college of their choice and the major of their choice. Those kinds of things that where you have the parent in and you give them materials or consumables that they can use to help their children. Now, I always suggest that you go back to your school improvement plan. And if your emphasis area academically for the year is math, then I'd have family math night. And if it's, say it's reading, then I would do family reading night. But the idea here is that you try to link it to goals your schools already have. You can get more buy-in that way, parents and staff. If our goal this year is to improve our math scores and you want to have family math night, hey, there you go. So again, in A, you do needs assessment, but it's only for gaps in communication. It's not just, well, what do we need at our school in terms of community, of between the school and parents. This is gaps in communication. Your short-term goal should be to use social media and things of that nature to connect with parents. And your long-term goals is once you've connected with them, to do things that are academically based, like family math night, family reading night. Help us help you. Now, component B, you use the school leadership component from the teacher working conditions survey, and you assess the school leadership, not teacher leadership. This is school leadership. You're to assess strengths, weaknesses, and then come up with a set of recommendations. So at the end of component B, you have short-term goals from A, long-term goals from A, and you have recommendations to improve school leadership. Now, Usually it doesn't take any resources to improve school leadership, but it might. So I always tell students, if there's a recommendation that needs a resource like money or people or materials or consumables, then you would include that. But in component C, you are to identify the resources that you would need to implement the short-term goals and the long-term goals and any improvement in school leadership. For example, short-term goal, the resources you might need a school Facebook account. You might need to go online and establish a Google account so you can establish a YouTube account. Usually those don't cost a lot, but you might need a high-speed connection to do that. I think LinkedIn is cheap, but like WhatsApp costs $1. Commercial license is about 15. I mean, there are costs associated with some of these communication. ConnectEd, usually the district pays for it, but if they don't, it's like $35 a month. You can buy the software and do robocalls. That's kind of outdated, but you can also buy the software and do robo-text now or robo-emails. You can get your own email handler from your school outside of your district that communicates with parents. Our community where I live, we own one. We pay about $800 or $900 a year, and we have our own email server. Some schools are doing that now rather than the district server, so that they can send out blasts when they want to communicate better with parents. Those are the kinds of resources that you might have to dedicate a person to doing this. I mean, that might be one of their extracurricular activities. What resources, both fiscal, which is money, and human, which is people, would you need to implement those short-term goals where you use communication devices, modern communication, social media to connect with parents? Now, long-term goals like Family Math Night, how much is it going to cost you to do Family Math Night? To buy the consumables, to buy the workbooks, refreshments for parents, those kinds of things. How many teachers will it take to pull it off, to be there to actually teach the adults and to work with them, hands-on? It might take 15 teachers. Of course, you could do, I hate to say comp time, but you could figure out a way to compensate teachers for doing that. What resources, both human and fiscal, will it take to do your long-term goals where you're doing Family Math Night or Family Reading Night? And then again, usually it doesn't take resources, but what resources might it take to improve school leadership? Maybe part of their problem is they don't communicate well. Like principal's breakfast. I know the elementary in my home community, complaint was that the parents didn't know the principal, so he started doing a principal's breakfast. It cost him like $100 a month to have refreshments, and parents would come in and grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a bagel or whatever. It costs about $100 a month. He'd do it on Friday mornings. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about in terms of what it would take in terms of fiscal or human resources for one of those recommended improvements for school leadership. So you've got A, B, and C now. In component D, you do your marketing plan, where you put together your specific activities. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to have Family Math Night. Who's the person responsible going to be? Well, it's going to be, Jill and Jimmy. They're going to be responsible. What resources are they going to need? Well, they're going to need this much money and this many people. How are we going to formatively assess it? How are we going to summatively assess it? Formative assessment is, did they actually get it up off the ground and running? Summative assessment is did the test scores improve in math because of it? What was our goal? Well, our goal was to, 2-point gain in math. And what would be an indicator of success? Would the indicator of success be only if the scores went up, or if we had 100 parents show up? You determine that. So those are the things that should be in your marketing plan. Specific activity. What are you going to do? What are you going to do for short-term goal? Well, we're going to get our own email server. Who's going to do it? Well, Billy's going to do it. How much is it going to cost? Well, it's going to cost $800. We're going to get that money through the bake sale. Formative assessment, did we get it, and did we get it up and running? Summative assessment, because we got it, we got more parents to come out and be involved. Again, specific activity, person's responsible, resources needed, timeline, when we're going to do it. Formative assessment, did we get it actually implemented? Summative assessment, did it work? Did our scores go up? our goal, what we were trying to improve, and then indicator of success. What would be an indicator of success for us? Those are things that go in your marketing plan. They're just like any other action plan. And then in your process journal, you write it all up. Now, be careful to clearly delineate. And you got a journal of activities. Here's what I did. Pull from that journal the decision points. When we had to make decisions, conflicts that you might have had in setting up these activities, resolutions, successes, failures, and then at the end you write a reflective summary. So hopefully that gives you a better idea of what you're doing. As a quick review, in component A, we do a needs assessment, but it's only of communication gaps between school and parents. It is not just an overall needs assessment. As a result of the needs assessment, you do short-term goals, which are social media or modern communication dependent. Then you do long-term goals, which are things like family math night, family reading night. In component B, we assess school leadership. That's the section from the teacher working condition survey. We identify strengths and weaknesses, and we make any recommendations. Once we get to C, we find whatever resources it might take to implement the short-term goals from A, the long-term goals from A, and any leadership improvements from B. In component D, we put it all together in an action plan or a marketing plan. You can do it in a graphic organizer, but again, we need specific activity, persons responsible, timeline, resources needed, both fiscal and human, formative assessment, how we're going to assess whether it got done or not. That's basically the implementation assessment. Summative assessment, did we see any results in the end? What was our goal when we were looking for results? What was our goal? Trying to move our math scores. And what would be an indicator of success? Would it be successful if we had 100 parents but our scores didn't go up? Would that still be successful? So you have to tell us what an indicator of success would be. And then in your process journal, make sure that you pull out, you just, on Thursday, September 3rd, here's the minutes from that meeting, or here's what we did as a group that time. But from that journal of activities, you need to pull out specifically and separately your decision points, your conflicts, your resolutions, successes, and failures of the process. And then you write a reflective summary. Yeah, it worked well. No, it didn't. I'd do this different. We got some results, but it wasn't worth the effort. Those are the kinds of things that you write in a reflective summary. So hopefully this will help you with your Scip. If not, see me again Thursday night and we'll work on it again. So I'm signing off from now. Everybody have a good evening. Thanks.